Welcome to part 4 of Theo's Flight Sim World Pro Mission Editor Guide series. In this one we're going over trigger basics. There are 12 types of triggers. If you go to categories in the PME and click on triggers, you'll see all 12 triggers listed here. This guide's going to will eventually cover all but 4 of them when completed. I'm not going to cover the collision trigger, the event trigger, or the 2 race-related triggers, last lap and race end, because I haven't messed with them and know nothing about them. When I learn how to use the collision and event triggers, a guide will be created for each one. Okay, trigger basics. All triggers except the menu prompt trigger have 3 common attributes. These are activated, set to true or false, OneShot, set to true or false, and an object reference. Okay, what do these mean? Activated is if it's set to true, that trigger is always on. And whatever condition is met that will cause it to fire, the trigger will fire. If set to false, it will need an object activation action to turn it on. Use false if you only want the trigger to be active at a specific time, place, or condition within the mission. Use true if you want it to fire any time within the mission, the time, place, conditions for the trigger are met. A good use for that, say you wanted to set an altitude limit, and if they ever exceed it, you want a trigger to fire and give them a warning. That's when you would use something like true for activated. OneShot is set to true. The trigger will only fire once and only once. This is how triggers are normally used. If set to false, the trigger can fire multiple times. To get one to fire multiple times from a single trigger action, it usually requires a combination of activated true and OneShot false. Now, all the other triggers except the menu prompt have an object reference. The reason menu trigger doesn't have an object reference is the object is the menu you're creating with it. Now, what is the object reference? Object references are what do you want the trigger to do? For example, on this airport landing trigger, we want to play a dialogue when it lands and have it complete a goal, for example. Let's find goal resolution action. You drop the goal resolution action in there and then put the goal on it. Let's go to mission information and drag goal on it. And now you would, once you've filled out the information here, give it an airport and all that kind of stuff, it'll play the dialogue and it will end the mission, or it'll complete your goal. That's what object reference is for. That's it for trigger basics. Almost all other trigger functions are unique to each different trigger type and will be covered in the individual guides. That's it. Have a great day.